You open the kitchen cabinet looking for a snack. You're not even that hungry, but the real answer is far stranger than a lack of willpower. The urge pulling your hand toward chips, candy, or something sweet began long before supermarkets, restaurants, or delivery apps ever existed. You might think the story starts with modern food. It doesn't. The story starts hundreds of thousands of years ago. It starts with ancestors who lived in a world where finding enough calories was one of the hardest challenges a human being could face. Today, food is everywhere. Back then, food was uncertain. A successful day could bring a feast, while several difficult days could bring almost nothing at all. What kind of brain survives in a world like that? Not a brain that ignores calories, not a brain that casually passes by sugar. A brain that becomes extremely good at recognizing energy-rich foods and feeling rewarded when it finds them. That reward system is still inside your head today. Your ancestors did not know what calories were. They did not understand nutrition labels. Yet natural selection did something remarkable. Over thousands of generations, it favored people whose brains encouraged them to seek valuable sources of energy whenever those sources appeared. Imagine finding wild honey. Imagine discovering ripe fruit after days of searching. Imagine uncovering a cache of edible nuts during a difficult season. Those foods were not just treats, they could dramatically improve the chances of survival. This is why sweetness matters so much. Sweetness became a signal. It often pointed toward carbohydrates and energy. When your tongue detects sugar, your brain does not simply register flavor. It begins evaluating opportunity. Modern neuroscience helps explain why. Researchers have shown that reward pathways involving dopamine become active when people anticipate desirable foods. Dopamine is often misunderstood as a pleasure chemical. In reality, it is deeply involved in motivation and learning. It helps teach your brain what is worth pursuing. When something consistently helps survival, the brain pays attention. When something contains concentrated energy, the brain remembers. When something repeatedly produces a reward, the brain wants more. Can you see the problem that appears once the environment changes? Your brain evolved slowly. Your world changed quickly. For most of human history, calorie-dense foods were relatively rare. In the modern world, they are available almost every hour of every day. The result is a mismatch. Evolutionary biologists often use that word. A mismatch occurs when a trait that once helped survival encounters a completely different environment. The trait remains, the environment changes. The evolutionary psychologist David Buss frequently discusses how many modern behaviors reflect ancient adaptations. The circumstances surrounding those adaptations may be gone, yet the psychological machinery remains. Your appetite is one example. Consider a grocery store. To your conscious mind, it is normal. To ancient survival systems buried deep within your brain, it would appear almost magical. I'll stretch endlessly. Sugar is everywhere, salt is everywhere, fat is everywhere. The average hunter-gatherer never encountered anything remotely similar. Many foods require effort. Many foods require time. Many foods require luck. Modern processed food removes all three barriers at once. Food companies understand something important. Human preferences did not appear randomly. They emerged from biological pressures that shaped the species. When manufacturers create products loaded with sugar, fat, and salt, they are often interacting directly with ancient reward systems. This does not mean food companies control your mind. It means they understand what your brain already likes, and your brain likes those things for reasons that once made perfect sense. Researchers sometimes describe highly processed foods as hyperpalatable. That phrase sounds technical. The meaning is simple. These foods are engineered to be exceptionally appealing. A red berry found in nature contains sweetness. A candy bar can contain sweetness far beyond anything your ancestors regularly experienced. The same pattern appears again and again. Modern foods often deliver stronger signals than the natural foods that shaped human evolution. The neuroscientist Ken Berridge has spent years studying the distinction between liking and wanting. Those two experiences are related but not identical, You can want something intensely even when the actual enjoyment is less impressive than expected. That difference matters. Have you ever eaten a snack while barely paying attention? Have you ever finished a package and wondered where it went? Have you ever promised yourself one bite and then reached for another? Ancient reward systems can be powerful. Yet the story is not simply about weakness, it is about design. Your brain was not built to resist an unlimited supply of calorie-dense foods. It was built to find them. Think about hunger. Many people imagine hunger as a simple signal. In reality, it involves a complex conversation among hormones, organs, and brain regions. One important hormone is ghrelin. When ghrelin levels rise, hunger often increases. Another important signal comes from leptin. Leptin helps communicate information about energy stores. The system is sophisticated. The system is adaptive. The system evolved under conditions very different from those surrounding you now. Sleep also plays a role. Researchers have repeatedly found links between insufficient sleep and increased appetite. After a poor night's sleep, calorie-dense foods often become more attractive. Why would this happen? From an evolutionary perspective, a tired body may interpret exhaustion as a challenge requiring additional energy. The brain responds accordingly. The craving feels personal. The mechanism is ancient. Stress adds another layer. Your ancestors faced threats that were often immediate and physical. A dangerous animal, a hostile rival, a harsh environment. Modern stress frequently looks different. Deadlines, bills, notifications, constant demands on attention. Yet the body still responds. Stress hormones can influence eating behavior. Many people find themselves reaching for comfort foods during difficult periods. The craving is not appearing from nowhere. It is emerging from systems designed to help manage survival challenges. The anthropologist Richard Ratkin has argued that food and human evolution are deeply connected. Cooking itself transformed what humans could extract from food. More available energy may have helped support larger brains. Food was never a minor detail in human history. It helped shape the species. That history still echoes through daily life. When you smell fresh bread, your reaction is not purely cultural. When dessert suddenly seems irresistible, biology participates in the conversation. When you feel drawn toward energy-rich foods, ancient pressures are speaking through modern experiences. There is another twist. Your brain learns. It constantly creates associations between environments and rewards. If you regularly eat snacks while watching television, those activities can become linked. Eventually, the television alone may trigger anticipation. The psychologist Igor Pavlov demonstrated how associations form. His experiments became famous because dogs learned to connect signals with food. Humans form associations too. The process is more complicated, but the principle remains surprisingly familiar. A certain chair, a certain time of day, a certain route home from work, a certain commercial. Suddenly, a craving appears, not because your body desperately needs calories in that moment. Because your brain has learned a pattern, the prediction itself can become powerful. This helps explain why cravings often feel specific. You may not want food in general, you may want one particular food. Your brain remembers where previous rewards came from. That memory system was useful. Remembering valuable resources improved survival. An ancestor who forgot the location of important food sources would face disadvantages. Memory and appetite evolved together. Now imagine combining ancient reward systems, learned associations, aggressive marketing, constant availability, social pressure, stress, and lack of sleep. The result is not surprising. The result is modern cravings. Does that mean you are trapped? Not at all. Understanding a system changes how you interact with it. One of the most powerful tools is awareness. When you recognize that a craving is not necessarily an emergency, you create space between impulse and action. That space matters. Small pauses can produce meaningful differences. Environment matters too. Behavioral scientists repeatedly find that surroundings influence decisions. If certain foods are constantly visible, they become easier to choose. If healthier options are accessible, they become easier to choose. The brain responds to convenience. This insight sounds almost disappointingly simple, yet simplicity does not make it unimportant. Ancient humans responded to environmental cues. Modern humans do too. Protein can help, fiber can help, sleep can help, stress management can help. None of these strategies eliminate cravings forever, but they can reduce the intensity of the signals competing for your attention. Another useful perspective involves self-compassion. People often treat cravings as evidence of personal failure. That interpretation misses the bigger story. You're experiencing the output of systems shaped across immense stretches of evolutionary time. Those systems are not evil, they are not broken. In many ways, they work extraordinarily well. The problem is that success in one environment does not guarantee success in another. A craving for rare energy-rich foods could be beneficial on a prehistoric landscape. The same craving can become difficult to manage in a world filled with vending machines, advertisements, and endless shelves of processed snacks. This is the central paradox. The instincts causing frustration today often originated as survival advantages. The brain that pushes you toward calorie-dense foods is descended from brains that help humans endure scarcity, uncertainty, and harsh conditions. When researchers study obesity, nutrition, and eating behavior, they increasingly recognize that simple explanations are rarely sufficient. Human behavior emerges from biology, psychology, culture, economics, learning, and environment all at once. The story is bigger than discipline alone. Your ancestors never had to navigate food delivery apps. They never walked through supermarkets containing tens of thousands of products. They never encountered algorithms designed to capture attention while advertisements promoted snacks every few minutes. You do. Yet beneath all that modern complexity sits a remarkably ancient brain, a brain that still values energy, a brain that still learns from rewards. A brain that still carries traces of environments long gone. The next time you find yourself staring into the refrigerator, something interesting is happening. Part of your mind is living in the present, another part is responding to priorities established thousands of generations ago. The craving feels modern, its roots are ancient. That realization changes the question. The question is no longer why you lack self-control. The question becomes what kind of brain evolution gave you and what kind of world that brain now inhabits. Once you see the mismatch, many everyday experiences begin to make sense. The attraction of junk food is not a mystery. It is a predictable consequence of ancient adaptations meeting modern abundance. You open the kitchen cabinet looking for a snack. You are not even that hungry, and now the moment looks completely different. Because the hand reaching toward the food is carrying the history of your species.